Okay, so picture it. You're driving down some gorgeous coastal road in Costa Rica. You've got the windows down, you can smell the rainforest on one side, you can see the ocean on the other. I mean, that is the pura vida dream, right? But even in paradise, things can sometimes take a weird turn.
Imagine this. You get into a little fender bender on some remote mountain road. Or maybe you twist your ankle on a jungle hike and you're miles from anywhere. That sudden feeling of, uh-oh, what do I do now? That can be seriously unsettling.
But what if you didn't have to panic? What if you had a playbook, a clear, simple guide that turns that fear into, okay, I know what to do? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. This is your guide for handling the unexpected in Costa Rica. So let's get started.
We're going to break this down into 4 key sections. First up, making the right call, who you need to contact. Then we'll walk through exactly what to do in a car accident. After that, we'll navigate the medical system. And finally, we'll cover what to do if you're unlucky enough to deal with theft.
All right, first things first. In any emergency, anywhere in the world, the most powerful tool you have is your phone. Knowing the right number to call is absolutely the most critical first step.
And thankfully, the most important number is one you probably already know, 911. Yep, just like in the US and Canada, 911 is the universal emergency number in Costa Rica. That one call gets you connected to police, fire, and ambulance services. Super simple.
Okay, now beyond 911, there are a few other specialized numbers that are really good to know. The tourist police, for example, can be a huge help. But the two that are absolutely essential for what we're talking about today are INS, that's the National Insurance Institute for any car accident, and OIJ, the Judicial Police, who you'll need for filing any official crime reports. And we're going to talk a lot more about them in just a minute. So here is a huge local tip. When you call 911, the way you give your location is crucial. Costa Rica doesn't really operate on street names and numbers like you might be used to. You have to think in landmarks. So instead of an address, you'd say something like, I'm 5 kilometers south of the town of Dominical on Route 34, or I'm right in front of the big church in La Fortuna. Be specific, be clear, and stay on the phone. Okay, let's run through a scenario. A car accident is probably the number one thing travelers worry about when they decide to rent a car and drive in Costa Rica. So let's break down the exact process, step by step.
Remember that INS number we just mentioned? Well, here is why it is so important. The INS is the National Insurance Agency, and what's really unique is that they will often send an inspector directly to the scene of the accident to make an official evaluation. This is a really distinct part of the process in Costa Rica.
Okay, you might want to take a picture of this slide. After you make sure everyone's okay, the single most important rule is right there at step 2. In bold, do not move your vehicle. I'm serious. It is actually against the law. You have to leave the cars exactly where they are until the transit police arrive. Then you make your 3 crucial calls, 911, the INS hotline, and of course, your rental car company. And this slide pretty much sums up how to not make a bad situation worse. Never, ever leave the scene. Don't try to make some cash deal on the side of the road to avoid the paperwork. That could easily void your insurance. And this is a big one. Don't admit fault. Just stick to the facts when you talk to the police and let the authorities and the insurance folks figure it all out. Now, just a quick and kind of serious reality check here. If an accident involves serious injuries, the legal process can take a while. And in some rare, really severe cases, you could actually be prevented from leaving Costa Rica until the whole thing is resolved. It's just another reason why driving carefully and cautiously is always your best. All right, let's pivot to our third section, medical care. And the good news here is that Costa Rica actually has a really solid healthcare system. You just need to know how to navigate it as a tourist. This is pretty much the golden rule of international travel. That health insurance card you have in your wallet, it probably won't be accepted for direct payment. What this means is you'll likely have to pay for any medical services upfront with your own money, and then file a claim with your insurance company to get reimbursed later. And that is exactly why good travel medical insurance is so, so important. So you basically have 2 options. There's the public system, which is very high quality and surprisingly affordable, but you should probably expect some long waits and maybe a language barrier. Then there's the private system. It's faster, you're more likely to find English-speaking staff, and you'll find these clinics in most tourist areas, but it's definitely going to cost you more. Okay, this right here might be the best insider tip of this whole explainer. For things that aren't a true emergency, like a bad cold, a weird rash, an upset stomach, your first stop should be the local Pharmacia.
The pharmacists there are incredibly knowledgeable, and get this, many of them even have a doctor on site for a quick, really cheap consultation. It's such a smart and efficient first step.
All right, on to our final play in the playbook, dealing with theft. It's an unfortunate risk no matter where you travel, but knowing the procedure can make a huge difference in how much it impacts your trip. So just like INS is the key for accidents, OIJ is the name you have to remember for crime. They are the investigative police force. If you have any hope of making an insurance claim for stolen items or getting an emergency passport, you absolutely must have an official report. It's called a denuncia from an OIJ office. This is not optional. The process, thankfully, is pretty logical. First and foremost, make sure you are safe. If you're in any danger, call 911. Then you'll need to go to the nearest OIJ office to file that official report. Once you have a copy of that report in your hands, you can start all the other annoying tasks, like calling your bank to cancel your cards and contacting your embassy to get the ball rolling on a replacement passport. So, to wrap this all up, here is the most practical thing you can do. I mean it. Pull out your phone right now, create a new contact, and call it something like Costa Rica Emergency. Then add these 5 numbers to it. It is hands down the easiest and most effective bit of prep you can do before you even get on the plane. Because at the end of the day, being prepared isn't really about worrying about what might go wrong. It's actually the opposite. It's about giving yourself the freedom to truly explore, knowing that you have the tools and the knowledge to handle whatever comes your way. And that, right there, is the key to true Pura Vida.